Hi, everyone, and welcome back. This has been the map that we've been focusing in on and talking about. It's yeah, it's a very interesting map, and I've got to get my camera set up rightly and well. And hang on. I've got a new studio set up, and excuse me, jeez. And I didn't get it all ready, so here we go. Ta-da! So yes, this map is getting more and more interesting as I've been delving into it. I had delved into it before publishing my book, which the link to my book is in the um, description below. Get myself pretty here, and I'm glad I don't have a lot of viewers right now because things are not going the way they're supposed to. So, welcome to the Breadcrumbs Project. I am Euripides Crumb, the founder and current host of the show, delving into all kinds of things that we have going on. And yes, this map uh, has a lot to tell us, and will be telling us a whole lot as we go along in our adventure. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. I um, I did, and let's see. I think we're a little too late for that. I did. We have terrible weather here in Spain, where I live, the parts of Spain where I live, and we looking for a good thumbnail, something that represents what we're doing. I'll use this and go here. I will be much better prepped next time, but today, even though I did have time to prep, I did not. Um, yes, there's been a lot going on, so I've been kind of out there focused on some other things. But let's get started into what we are doing now and looking into where the term Latin America comes from and um, and what it means to us Americans, and really what it means to the world, and how it impacted the world, how it impacted the world through our study of the long-headed people, what we normally refer to as elongated skull people. They are human. We can become them if we understand how to master our DNA. So there were children born. There are fetuses of elongated skull people. We have seen the depictions of Egyptians clearly, uh, uh, rock sculptures and sculptures of rock engravings of some of their deities. Not their deities, um, their pharaohs. Obviously, the crowns covering up a elongated skull. The way these pharaohs and Nefertiti wore her crown, it would fall off a normal person's head, but it covers a an elongated skull perfectly. And then when you see them with their children, all the children are clearly elongated skull people. So what I'm saying is, our history hasn't been given to us properly, and in a manner that really we need to be honest about and start researching and finding the truth of what's happened to us. So I am going down a path that has been absolutely interesting because it merges the Celts, the Romans, and those are two, I didn't know it, but very obscure peoples. So we know all about Eastern Rome, but how much do we know about Western Rome? Because they just fell off the map and they landed on this map. There, that map right there. Yes. So when the Romans, when the Roman Empire collapsed, I would say that collapsing is a severing of the two empires. And once those the empires severed, then this side of Europe went into the Dark Ages. And we really don't know what happened during that time. We think we know, but we don't know. Because a lot of that history was burned into ash and destroyed. The only thing that survived from those times what was rock, what was stone. So, yes, like the cathedrals, the Roman cathedrals, those all stood, including the beautiful cathedral in Santiago de Compostela, which is clearly a Roman cathedral. There's a lot of questions about who built them and how, because that technology is amazing. That we can replicate it today. So that's kind of where we start, is with the buildings, with the Roman buildings, because all the cathedrals that are not modern, I don't know if there is a modern cathedral, but all the cathedrals are built by the same people that that are Latins. Like, we don't know if they had giants. We don't know if the elongated skull people, the long-headed skull people, helped them. Because as we understand it from artificial intelligence, the skulls were used for sound and resonance, and there's always mentioned of sound and resonance. And I've been doing some studies with India about India and looking at some videos from some researchers like me, and they talk about a lot in India how sound is a was how the ancients did things, including war. There was a lot of war going on back then in the Vedas. This was an ugly place, man. This was. Whew. We think we have wars going on now. The Vedas talk about some horrible stuff. So yeah, we need to keep an eye on ourselves and what we do. So thank y'all for being here. Let's dive into this map because it is important. Not only is it talking about uh, not only is it talking about the Romans because we have Latin on this map, but we also have the local language Natal, which is the Aztec language, as we refer to it now. And those are only two languages that we have to work with here. There is no Spanish. There's things that we can take as Spanish, but even when we see the word Spanish, it's rendered in Latin. So we have Latin and Aztec on this map, and it's a beautiful map. So, and it's not the only copy of this map around, thank goodness, because this one is really beautiful, and you kind of take it for granted what you're seeing with the Latin cities that they have cathedrals, but the red blotches it up pretty good, and you really don't think about, oh, they have cathedrals there. You don't think about that too much. And then I got into a map, a version of the map. So again, there's replication. This is not a hand-drawn map. This is replicated. So there's obviously a copper plate of this, and they've been making several copies of this map. They didn't draw it. The cartographer that's famous for this did not draw it. Didn't have anything to do with it. Purchased a or found uh, this copper plate of maps and re-released them. I don't know if he re-released them as original work, saying that he did it, but it's attributed to him. And his name is John Bleu from 1596 to 1673. This is on the Pacific side of Mexico, and it has galleons. So galleons are not new technology to the Spanish. This is technology that the Romans had, obviously, that's not attributed to them. And there was either a Panama Canal existing that they found and cleaned up and took advantage of, or they learned to navigate the Magellan Straits. I tend for there was already a Panama Canal. I'm going to lean for that because the Magellan Straits would be of quite the voyage. So, and they might have dug it themselves, the Latins, because they had amazing technology. Let's look at Compostela now, without all the red. And look at the perfect circles for the cities. So here you have Compostela, and we're going to look that up in the translator. And then all of the other cities are in the Aztec language. Okay? Chumulucuru, Choloquingo, Chiqui, Tiqui, Situi, written in Latin script, but Aztec language. And we can do some translations because Google Translate uh, does support that language. But notice, with everything around them being very basic, it looks like they had major walled cities protected from the outside world, and then they all have these radio towers. And that, to me, is really interesting and something we're going to explore as well. So, before we get into that, let's take note of the north, because I've already done a bit of translating here. And this is going to be fascinating, because when I saw it, it was fascinating to me. So Google Translate noted this. Let's see if I can. There are cannibals who live in these mountains. Okay? Montbus habitant. The Tepucuans are a wild nation and with fine laws. So this is rural America at the time. This is rural Mexico. This is savage rural Mexico because the Guachuchules are a people who walk naked, live in the forest, and are only interested in hunting. and that's this right here. So everything outside of what they call Nueva Galicia, Nueva España, is literally wild land. There are no Spanish there. My even bigger point. Okay? There's no sign of Spain on this map. That is huge. That is absolutely huge. An unknown land and very far from the mountains. This undocumented area. The greatest quantity of silver is mined in these mines. And I don't even know if the cartographer knew what he had on his hands because Latin was a long dead language by the time this cartographer got his hands on it. Long dead. As a spoken language, it was used in majestic ways in law and medicine and science, but not as a spoken language where somebody would be able to back then pick it up and recognize what it said without a Google Translate or a Latin speaker and reader. So this is absolutely new territory. Is it kind of scary? Yeah. Do I know who I'm messing with? Ooh, man, this world's gone crazy. It's scary, but this is science. So yes, all of this is unknown land, and that is absolutely fascinating. All right, we are going to screen grab this area and see how much we can pick up of one language or the other. And we will do that together. So we'll do a new screen grab here. Right there. And copy. Now, before I jump over there, please notice that this map is from the David Rumsey map collection. This is not uh, this is an established map. This is not a gimmick or a game or something I've just picked up. This is a well-established map, well documented, completely misstated, completely misstated, because there was nothing like this in 1662. This was all changed. So this is way back. The thing that we have to appreciate is Western Rome didn't just vanish; they planned for this event. So for a long time, they were secretly taking people and putting them there to establish this land. Again, they didn't invade because they're surrounded by the natives, but they did colonize and create their small or large communities. I don't know, but by what we can see in Compostela, that is a significant community. All right, let's put this in here. Whoa, sorry about that, guys. Yes, so this is something else I'm studying, and um, this is the Western Roman Empire. I mean, Eastern Roman Empire. This is the Eastern Roman Empire here, and it was under the auspices of the Roman Catholic Church, and these are all the families that basically run the world and have been since Roman times, since Latin times. So this is yes, this is something else I have been studying, and it's in German, so that makes you understand a little more about what's happening globally. All right, so let's get rid of this. And going through the translation process and see what comes up. Detected. Ah, okay. Latin again. Cannibals who lives in these mountains. We already did that. South Spirits Flow. Camille Flu. Joker Province. Jones Province. So this is all Latin. What is translated as Latin. Silver mines down here in this area. Let me give you the whole map so you guys can look at it. Capitan Tardi. But yes, this area here are silver mines. Chaptiviam, great. So yes, this makes the point that it is Latin. Now let's see if we can do the Nahuatl language. Nahuatl language. Yeah, and it's picked up some. Oops. Hmm. Japanese. Oh my goodness. Send. Mixed Pokil. Oh, love. So it sees Mare as love. Antique. Yeah, so um, this Miracle Pass. Yeah, so it's very interesting how it's picking up these words in the language. So what I'm going to be doing, and probably after I get off of this show, is getting in contact with some universities within the area that have language schools that actually work with this Aztec language, Nahuatl, and show them a portion of map and see if it is something that they can translate and verify. I think that will be absolutely huge. And then start talking about the implications. I'm not going to show them the whole map, but just a portion that they can read and verify whether or not it is the native Aztec language. And then this puts all of this into a whole new view of the world. And from the maps that I've seen and the way this lion up here in the upper right hand side is is doing, pointing the sword and opening its mouth and looking north of Mexico into those wild lands. Into those wild lands. Uh, and all of these major Latin communities are walled in communities with towers. Again, walled in community, and they do have doors in and out doors, but they have towers. They have towers. And here you have a smaller community with a tower. Another community, another community, another community tower. Pretty good breakdown on how the lakes are and all of the all of the lakes and rivers. Very detailed on that. How do you do that? How can you get this level of detail? Because something that I'm noticing, and this is a Mexican city, looks like a major one, is how do they get that level of detail? if they just had boats. That was their major technology. Because this is like you're flying over details. Okay. The other thing that I'm really noticing, and I can't wait to mention, is that there are no roads. There are no roads that I can see. They certainly aren't mapped or any indication that they are any. So how do they travel? How did they travel? I think these are two very fair questions. So, um, yeah, and this is, as it says right here, Nova. And let me give you on the big screen. Nova Galicia. Galicia. So this is New Galicia, and I'm sitting in Old Galicia. We have Compostela. So let me entertain you with a translator. Well, I'll swing it over after I get uh, the word up. So, Compo, oh, Latin, Latin, JKL, and it's Stella. Compostela is star composition. So, star fort or something having to do with stars. So the Latins had major technology. Their culture and the long-headed cultures knew each other. They were around the same time in the same area because Peru has um, has some skulls that are as young as 500 years old, carbon dated, and some are 1,500 years old. And the Romans were definitely here by then. So that's when the person died was 1,500 years ago. We don't know the full extent of the culture and how long they were here. And yes, a lot of these Latin names are are names that are pulled together of two different words. So Finisterra was the key to me here in Galicia. Fini Stera, end of land, not end of the world, end of land. So yeah, we have a beautiful thing here, but a very scary thing too. So the Roman Empire never stopped being. They got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's interesting, yeah. So it was the Latins that at first completely tamed the land. It was the Latins. And as I was doing some research today, and I remember this from history from something. I don't remember what it was, but the previous name of Washington, of that part of that city, was Rome. And there's some very, very old Roman buildings, not Romanesque, not Roman-like, but Roman buildings. So the Latins were the ones that colonized the Americas. That's why it's Latin America. They did it. And I'm sure they cut some kind of a deal with the Spanish. And I fully believe also that the Latins were sending money, silver, to the Iberias for many hundreds of years in secret to fund the kings and queens and the country and make sure that they stay A, in the Dark Ages for as long as possible, so they can all forget about the memory of the Latins and the Romans literally burned away and goes away. And the only thing that we know about the Latins is the Eastern Roman Empire, which is now the Roman Catholic Church, headquartered in the Vatican. And yeah, the massive amount of deceit to keep this secret hidden cost the Latins untold silver. But it didn't cost the Latins, it cost the Mexicans. It cost, they took the money from here and sent it over there to keep the secret here. Because uh, they were mining these areas. And if you remember up here, and let me show you on the big screen, up here, the most silver came out of these mines right here. And to quote, the greatest quantity of silver is mined in these mountains. And it doesn't look like to me the local natives needed that silver. I think they were taking that silver that was being mined and sending it right to Spain. And there's a very famous road called Camino de Plata that comes from Galicia and goes right outside of uh, Madrid to Sevilla. And yeah, it's called Camino de Plata, uh, Road of Silver, the Silver Road. And I think that ties right into it. You keep all the people in Europe for as long as possible. Then at the last minute, when it just can't do it anymore, keep it secret anymore, the Spaniards find Mexico and they begin the conquest of Mexico. And then that's when things break loose. The British and understanding the city of Rome, the city of London, I'm sorry, the city of London, I bet you also benefited from the silver. I bet you this was going to the city of London and being washed and suddenly appear in banking. So I think the city of London, I think the the royalty of Spain knew something about this, and it was a big secret as long as the money kept coming. And yeah, that's pretty much the way I see it. Yeah, it and if you looking again the north of Spain, I mean north of Nova Galicia is all literally savage territory where you have cannibals and you have people that are naked that are only interested in hunting, not interested in doing business, making money. And I think with all the small little villages around uh, New Spain and New Galicia, the colonization process was also a civilization process. So the Latins civilized the area and established little villages, taught the villagers to cook, to groom, to sew, to do all kind of to make fabrics because obviously there's clothing going on if they were pointing out that naked people were around. So I think the Latins came way earlier in history. I think the Latins were around a lot longer than we give them credit for, and the Minoans as well. And see that they came here, they started colonizing, they started gentrif- gentrifying, gentrification of the peoples, and created two communities, New Spain and New Galicia. Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. It was the Latins that colonized and civilized Latin America. This is a long journey. We are just getting started with this thing. So please, before Christmas, get a copy of my book. It has copies of the maps and much more detailed information of how this all played out that I'm giving in these videos. So, yes, it's a pretty exciting thing, pretty scary too. Don't want to get anybody mad, but this is what happened. The Latins established Latin America. All right. Again, I've gone 7 minutes over time. I was right at 30 minutes and was going to stop, but I just had to make a couple more points. Maybe being a little redundant, but just want to make sure that we're all getting the picture here. And have a great, great, great day. Thank you for watching. If you've gone this long, please like, subscribe, and make a comment in the comment section. Love to hear from you.